Most people believe that escaping from North Korea is impossible, but 2 people miraculously managed to escape. What's even more surprising is that they did it with just a bicycle tire, a pump, and a backpack. It was always thought North Korea's borders were so tightly sealed that ordinary people couldn't escape. In the past, thousands of North Korean citizens fled to China through the northern border each year, then journeyed to South Korea or other Asian countries. But in the past 3 to 4 years, the number of successful escapes through the northern border has significantly decreased, with only about 100 people each year. Escaping to South Korea and China has become nearly impossible. This situation has led many North Koreans to devise extremely unusual and dangerous methods of escape, including a man by the name of Lee Choen. Lee was a high-ranking North Korean official living in South Hwanghae province. For the ordinary citizens of North Korea, the idea of a high-ranking official wanting to escape from North Korea was completely unheard of. Just a few days before his attempted escape, Lee used his spare time to survey the land. He carefully studied the locations of the high-voltage electric fences, landmines, and all the watchtowers. Which ones were in place, which weren't installed yet? Lee felt this was his only chance to escape. Back home, he tried to persuade a friend to join him on his escape journey. This friend was an ordinary North Korean citizen. He explained the entire escape plan to his friend, who reluctantly agreed. They didn't tell anyone about their escape attempt, not even their families. On the day of the escape, Lee first went to a nearby market to buy a bicycle tire and a pump, which were his 2 important tools. He also prepared essential food and put it in a backpack. They waited until 8 p.m., then drove to the Yellow Sea. As they neared the coast, they abandoned the car and walked through the tall grass. They divided the tasks. One person would go ahead to test for landmines, and the other would check if the high-voltage fence was electrified. Fortunately, they crossed the grassy area without any landmine explosions. Then they reached the high-voltage electric fence. Remember, during his reconnaissance, Lee noted the high-voltage fence wasn't always electrified because it was expensive to keep it powered continuously. The North Korean government didn't have enough funds to build and maintain high-voltage fences everywhere. After crossing the fence, they found an area still lay between them and the sea. Because the moonlight was bright, this area was clearly illuminated, and crossing it directly would definitely get them spotted by guards. Just then, they saw a large cloud approaching, slowly covering the moonlight. They quickly headed to the sea. Once they arrived at the shore, Lee's plan was to inflate the bicycle tire and use it as a floating life ring for safety. But unexpectedly, the pump broke. So they had to make a quick decision to abandon the bicycle tire and pump and then swim into the sea. They started swimming with all their might. Fortunately, the guards in the watchtower didn't spot them. Lee's plan was to swim about 3.7 miles to the nearest South Korean territory. But after 3 hours of swimming, Lee's friend was about to give up and started cramping. His legs were nearly paralyzed, so Lee began massaging his legs and encouraging him. Then they continued swimming. After 4 hours, they felt they were getting close. Just then, a boat approached them. They thought it was a North Korean military boat and frantically swam to a small island about 300 meters away. This island is called Hanbakdo Island, and it is very small. They quickly hid in the bushes at the back of the island. By September, the Korean peninsula had already entered autumn, so it was quite cold when they got out of the water. Fortunately, there was some washed up trash on the island, so they used it to cover themselves and stay warm through the night. The next morning, they woke up early. I spent 3 hours constructing a simple raft using some foam and wood. Just as they were about to launch, the same boat from last night appeared. They didn't know which country's boat it was because it didn't have a flag. The 2 were unable to return to the island to hide. After the boat left, they quickly got into the water and started paddling with their hands. Not long after, another boat approached them. This time, they were able to see clearly that it was indeed a South Korean military patrol boat. This boat had been tracking them with infrared technology since last night. The 2 were taken on board and prepared to be sent to South Korea for questioning, in case they were North Korean spies. These 2 are among the few who have successfully escaped North Korea in recent years, and escaping by sea is extremely difficult and dangerous. However, many North Koreans still choose this sea route. In October 2023, a North Korean family of 4 fled in a small wooden boat and was found in South Korean waters. Now let's take a look at the most familiar 38th parallel. Can you escape from here? This is one of the most heavily militarized areas in the world. Can anyone escape from here? This stretch is 160 miles long and 2.5 miles wide. The green area in the middle is the DMZ. Strictly speaking, North Korea and South Korea are still in a state of war, but this demilitarized zone ensures that no violent incidents occur within. North Korea has deployed about 750,000 troops in the north, while South Korea has about 450,000 troops in the south, along with 20,000 soldiers from their American daddy. Thousands of landmines are scattered across the untouched land within the demilitarized zone. When the demilitarized zone was first formed, everyone living on this land was told to immediately choose a country to side with and then evacuate the area. Except for these 2 villages, Daesongdong near the South Korean side and Kijongdong, also known as the Peace Village, near the North Korean side. After the Korean War ended, these villages could not interact normally. The Peace Village near North Korea seems well equipped and vibrant, but it has no residents and looks more like a propaganda village. Daesongdong village in South Korea does have residents, about 207 villagers. Although the area seems tense, the residents here have special privileges. Whenever villagers go to work in the fields near North Korea, South Korean soldiers act as their bodyguards. They can only go out during the day and must return before sunset. Every night, military leadership handles roll call. When villagers have friends visiting, the visitors must submit an application 2 weeks in advance. Once the visitors are granted entry, their navigation tools go dark upon entering the demilitarized zone. A South Korean soldier will escort him to his destination. Daesongdong village has no restaurants, hospitals, or even supermarkets. If a villager orders takeout, the delivery person must leave the food at the edge of the military zone. Then the villager must go to the edge of the demilitarized zone to pick up their food, and they are still escorted by a South Korean soldier throughout the process. Of course, there are some benefits to living here. Villagers don't pay taxes or serve in the military. The South Korean government introduced a new 5th-generation network to help them stay connected with the rest of the country. These residents now have an app that allows them to water their rice fields without leaving home. These things are probably unheard of just a few kilometers away in North Korea. The village's only school has 35 students, only 7 of whom live in the demilitarized zone, while the other 28 live in the nearest village. Soldiers escort these students to and from school daily. This school is very well resourced with 21 staff members, and all expenses are covered by the South Korean government. Decades ago, villagers risked stepping on scattered landmines to work, and some were even kidnapped by North Korean soldiers, so they often had to evacuate to underground shelters. The noisy place is just a few miles away. Inside the demilitarized zone is the Joint Security Area, the only place where North and South Koreans are both present. They used to communicate via phone, but in 2013, North Korea refused to answer South Korea's calls. Now both sides use loudspeakers to shout back and forth. South Korean guards here must have a black belt in Taekwondo and be over 1.8 meters tall. This joint security area has several small blue buildings that extend to both sides of the border. Occasionally, North and South Koreans can meet peacefully inside them. A concrete line marks the boundary between the two countries. And if you cross this line into North Korea, North Korean guards might take you away. On July 18, 2023, an American soldier by the name of Travis King intentionally crossed the border into North Korea and was promptly taken away. It turns out that he did it on purpose. Just before this, he was released from a South Korean prison for committing several crimes on duty, including assaulting fellow American soldiers. After his release, he was about to be sent back to the US, where he might face more jail time. So he booked a tour of the demilitarized zone in advance. Then he dashed across the border and was promptly taken away by North Korean guards. No one knows why he did it, but some speculate he thought North Korean prisons might be better than American ones. 71 days later, North Korea sent him to China. He was then taken by the US and sent to a hospital in San Antonio. It was then that he revealed his reason for running to North Korea. He was disillusioned with the American soldiers. Various inhumane treatments and rampant racial discrimination in the military are also present in American society. King might spend many years in prison because he is charged with desertion and 8 other federal crimes, including assaulting his fellow soldiers. Has anyone crossed from North Korea to South Korea? There have been some attempts, most of which ended badly. But in 2017, one person succeeded. A regular North Korean soldier kept his identity secret and began his escape plan. He tried to drive a jeep into the demilitarized zone and then escape to South Korea. He was discovered as he quickly passed through North Korean military checkpoints. He then drove into a muddy area, but it turned out to be a patch of thin mud. He quickly got out of the car and dashed towards South Korea. North Korean guards reacted swiftly, opening fire on him. He darted to a corner on the South Korean side and quickly hid under some leaves. South Korean soldiers spotted him and wanted to bring him to safety, but they didn't want to eat the peanuts from North Korean soldiers. Finally, after 15 minutes, South Korean soldiers took the risk, rescued him, and sent him to a nearby hospital. This person was later granted South Korean citizenship. Like other North Korean defectors, he has lived a low-profile life in South Korea. He can indeed live freely in South Korea now, but his family is likely to be imprisoned. In the past 25 years, 20 North Koreans have successfully escaped through the demilitarized zone. As a result, escaping from North Korea has become increasingly difficult. Security has been tightened on the southern and northern borders. If you still want to escape from North Korea, perhaps only Lee Soon and her friend's method would work.